Hello, my friends. It's Nick. It's the ASMR Nerd. And welcome to another episode of Relaxing Reviews. Today, we're taking a look at something that I teased in my last Relaxing Reviews video. And a big shout out to community member and commenter Bardic Heart for correctly guessing that today we're going to take a look at 8BitDo's Pro 3 controller. This is a brand new flagship controller from 8BitDo, and 8BitDo needs little by the way of introduction, I think. They are a well-known manufacturer of gaming peripherals, especially controllers and especially retro-themed controllers like this one right here. The Pro 3 is packed full of cutting-edge, desirable features, buzzwords like TMR, thumbsticks, and Hall effect triggers, and these sorts of things. And today we're going to be unboxing it. We're going to be giving it a very close inspection. I'm going to be taking it through its paces, and then I will share with you my usage impressions, some pros and cons of this controller, and give you a final verdict on what it was like to use it, what I think about it. Before we jump into it, I should let you know that right now this controller is on sale as part of presumably Black Friday sales. You can find it on 8BitDo's web store for $56 right now, which is discounted from its regular price of $70 USD. And you can find that link down below in the video description, just in case you're interested. Speaking of Black Friday and discounts, yeah, I think you know where this is going. It is video sponsor into the AM's Black Friday Cyber Monday sale right now. These are the best prices of the entire year that you are going to get on all of Into the AM's amazing elevated everyday apparel, up to 60% off site-wide. Plus, if you use the link down below at the top of the video description, you will get an additional 10% off of your entire order. I will say it again, these are the best prices that Into the AM offers for the entire year. So do not hesitate. Head on through and take a look at what they have for you, because, my friends, I guarantee you they have something you will love, or someone special in your life will love, as a gift, perhaps. Whether it's their awesome hoodies. This is one that they sent not too long ago that I've been enjoying quite a bit. It's got a nice subtle graphic on the front, and then gorgeous art on the back here. Whether it's their classic graphic tees. I've got a few of my favorites as of late here. This is one of the newer ones they sent through. Such a freaking cool design. This guy right here, which, fun story, I actually wore the morning of my wedding day. Not to my wedding, although it is pretty nice looking, but it was the shirt I was wearing on that day before I got into my super formal duds. Or this guy right here. This incredible cosmic octopus. Not only does it look baller in the light, it is also glow in the dark. One of my faves from the last year or two, and one that gets a lot of compliments as well when I'm out and about. Of course, Into the AM also has their regular sort of basics, their plain tees. They've got all kinds of outerwear, various kinds of shirts, pants, underwear, all kinds of stuff. Anything you could want, anything anybody on your Christmas gift list might want as well. Like I said, these are the best prices of the year across Into the AM's entire website, up to 60% off. So make sure you head on over and take a look at the insane deals they've got going for you right now. And you can save an additional 10% off your entire order using the link down below at the top of the video description. In case you didn't already know, because I do talk about Into the AM a lot, but just in case you didn't know, all of Into the AM's clothes are not only super stylish, but super duper comfortable, nicely fitted, and really easy to care for. You just throw them in the wash, throw them in the dryer, and that's it. So they make fantastic gifts for folks in your life, whether it's for Christmas coming up or whether you just want to get yourself something nice, refresh your wardrobe. Into the AM has you covered. So once again, take advantage of Into the AM's Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. Black Friday runs from now through November 30th. Cyber Monday runs for the week after that. Do not miss out on these deals, the best prices of the year at Into the AM. Click through on that link down below. Get yourself some beautiful, elevated, everyday apparel at a fantastic price. Big thanks to Into the AM for sponsoring today's video. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at 8BitDo's Pro 3 controller. And here we have 8BitDo's Pro 3 gamepad in box. It's interesting that they advertise it here as a Bluetooth gamepad because it is that, but it's also USB wireless and wired gamepad. And of all the wireless communication standards, Bluetooth is going to be the least performant for a controller. But anyway, I believe the Bluetooth is how it will connect to a Switch or Switch 2, for example. So maybe that's why they're advertising that front and center. Anyway, you can see here that it supports Switch, Windows, and Android, as well as iOS. I don't know why it doesn't have that on here, but it does support iOS devices as well. Contents include a gamepad, a charging dock, and a cable. And we can see the gamepad and the charging dock right here. As you can tell, I have the purple version, which is very fun in that it is an homage to the Nintendo GameCube colors, the classic atomic purple, and the colors on that GameCube controller as well. But it is available in a couple of different colorways. They have a kind of a darker gray one, then a light gray, almost white kind of one. But I don't know, this seemed a lot more fun to me. So I went for the purple. And down here, of course, it says supports Bluetooth, 2.4 gigahertz wireless, and USB. So that's the front. On top, we've got just a little hanger. So this is clearly designed to be retail packaging. Could be sold in a store. We've got the 8BitDo logo on the bottom. And then on the back, some more information. Supports Switch, Windows, and Android. Again, I am quite confident it does support iOS. They list it on their website as compatible. I find it funny it's not on the box. But really not much other info. I'm surprised they're not advertising any other features like the swappable buttons or the dual mode triggers or anything like that. So if this is designed for retail, it's not doing a great job of like selling the feature, the selling points, but that's okay. More important is how it performs. So it looks like we can just open it by removing these seals. That will allow us to slide off this jacket. That is just a plain white box under that. Nothing else to see there. And the top lifts off. That's nice. Look at all that padding inside of this foam material. Very well protected in transport, no doubt. Oh, the sticks are protected as well. These little foam surrounds. That's fun. Controller contained within this bag. Some more protective items on it, protecting the buttons and protecting the sticks. Underneath, the charging dock. Nicely molded. We've got the 8BitDo branding on here. We've got the contacts for the charging. It is, of course, color matched with the controller, which is great. USB-C on the back to connect to your PC or to a wall outlet. And on the bottom here, 8BitDo charging dock for Pro 3 gamepad and what looks to be a battery compartment. What is this? Oh, look at that. So here we've got some bonus buttons if you want to swap them out, because again, these are magnetic swappable buttons on the controller, and a little button puller. This is for removing the buttons. It says here, note, there's no need to take the adapter out. Just plug the charging dock into your PC via USB cable. Not quite sure what they mean by there's no need to take the adapter out, but yeah, makes sense that you plug the dock in. So yeah, we've got this fun little, how does this even work? Is this suction based? Oh, look at that. That's very clever. It's just a tiny little suction cup, and it just suctions onto the top of the button, and that's how we remove them. That's a very clever, very low-tech solution. So that is contained in this compartment along with, oh, maybe that's what they mean by the adapter. But we do need to take the adapter out if we want to use it wirelessly, right? Oh, that was loud. So this is the 2.4 gigahertz USB adapter. It's got this retro style brick look to it with the 8BitDo logo on there. And it's got, I see. Okay, I understand what they're saying. So this is the 2.4 gigahertz receiver. You could plug this directly into your PC if you wanted, but it's trying to say you don't have to. You can literally just keep it plugged in right here where it was and plug this whole thing into your PC. And then this will still work as advertised. That's what they're saying. I probably should have figured that out initially. But at any rate, that's a slick design. And it's nice that you can use it either way. And I really like this little swappable button scenario. This thing, in addition to having a little suction cup, also is magnetic in its own right. So it stays attached there, which is great. Except I guess it needs to be on its side in order to fit. Cool. It's a fun little way to do that. And then, of course, this is how the controller sits on here, I guess. About like, there we go, like so. One nice integrated looking piece. It has a feature where when you remove it from the dock, it will automatically reconnect to your PC, which is great. We'll take a closer look at the controller in just a moment, but let's quickly check the cable. Oh, it is color matched. Good. So we have our atomic purple cable here, or legally distinct purple. I don't know if Nintendo has a trademark on the atomic purple color. Not sure. USB-A on the one end, USB-C on the other. Vinyl coated, matches the controller quite nicely, which is fantastic. And there was something else in here too. What's on this? Oh yeah, of course. Should you decide that these stock joysticks are too boring for you, 8BitDo has you covered with these like ball-style thumbsticks that I guess are supposed to be reminiscent of like fight sticks or like arcade controls. Not the most practical to actually use. They're very smooth and very slippery, but aesthetically, they're kind of fun. Look like little gumballs. I want to eat them. So that's kind of a fun little pack-in, and that's all that's in there. The only other thing, of course, is the user guide, which is available in a variety of languages and covers where all the buttons are, wireless connections to different devices, enabling the turbo function. That's potentially handy. Yes, and configuring the extra trigger, or not trigger, but extra shoulder buttons and extra buttons on the rear as well. That's it. Not too much else to see there. So let's get to the main event finally and take a look at this controller. So we'll take off these little protectors and this plastic on the swappable buttons. If I can get under it. So here we have it. It's a handsome looking controller. And it's got a lot of features. So in terms of the styling, it's kind of its own thing, but the stick position is reminiscent of a DualShock, or I think the Nintendo Switch Pro controller is like this as well. Unlike the Xbox controllers, which are like offset with one stick up here and the other down here. So these are in line. We have, of course, start and select buttons, which are kind of rubbery, but have a nice, satisfying tactility to them. We have a profile select button here, which lets us swap on the fly between 3 different profiles that can be saved to the controller. We have here, of course, our face buttons, our ABXY. By default, it appears to be configured like a Nintendo-style controller, but because it is swappable, you can easily swap these to be Xbox style if you want. We've got a D-pad. How's that sound? I like that D-pad. That is a nice sounding, nice feeling D-pad. Yeah, that's great. That feels very, very crisp. Not like, it's not snapping, but it's crisp and tactile. That is maybe the nicest D-pad I've ever felt. That is fantastic. I mean, I'll have to use it. Jury's still out on usage, but just in terms of tactility, feel, sound, it feels very precise, very crisp. For that matter, how do the face buttons sound? So, a fairly traditional feel. They've got that soft tactile bump on the way down, and then a snap on the way up. But it'll be instantly familiar to, anyone who's used a controller before. I will say they're fairly flat on the surface. They don't have a lot of, they're not rounded, they're not kind of mounded. They're very flat, which might take some getting used to. The edges are a little sharper than I'm used to. We have a couple of other buttons here, some kind of star button and 8BitDo button, which I think are involved in configuring the thing. Then we've got the sticks. These sticks are TMR sticks, I believe is what they call the technology. I think that's right. Which is apparently an evolution of the Hall effect tech. So they are similar in that they are electrocapacitive, I believe, and therefore much less likely to wear out with time and develop stick drift. Also, potentially smoother than conventional sticks. But apparently they are, I guess, more precise than Hall effect sticks, something like that. I, truth be told, don't know the ins and outs of the technology, but it is claimed that it is superior to Hall effect. So they have a nice moderate to light tensioning, I would say. They do not have adjustable tensioning on here, but they feel pretty good. And obviously, they can be swapped somehow. I don't know exactly how, but I don't know if I turn it or if they just pop off. I don't know. I'll have to take a look and figure it out, but clearly there's a way because these guys can get swapped on. So you've probably noticed flashing away down here the connectivity indicator LEDs. Looks a lot like a Switch Pro controller. And then on the top, we've got our L1 and R1 bumpers. Again, will be very familiar to anyone who's used a Switch Pro controller. Our triggers have two different operation modes. We've got a linear Hall effect style long throw option, and then we've got these little mode select options to get a clicky shoulder button or a trigger setting if we don't want that the analog response of the Hall effect trigger. So that's kind of nice. I always appreciate controllers with mode selects, and those feel nice and snappy. We also have something kind of interesting here. We have these R4 and R3, R4 and L4 buttons, which are like super quick shoulder buttons if you want something that's snappier, not as, I hesitate to say mushy, but not as deep, I guess, as these guys. These are super fast, super clicky, ultra responsive. I don't know that I'll ever use them, but interesting to have. And then finally, we've got buttons on the back, which, most controllers, sort of third-party controllers, seem to pack in these days. They're in a nice position, though. Very easy to trigger there. This L4 and R4 feels like a little bit hard to trigger. Like I have to kind of move up a little, but I guess we'll see. Like I tend to sit a little lower, I guess. Overall, though, the ergonomics feel good. It feels sturdy. It feels nicely weighted. It's got a really nice sturdiness to it, actually. No creak, no flex. The plastic is, kind of a standard matte finish. Not a lot of texturing. Maybe a little slipperier than some might like. But there is a little bit of texture on the back. Just a subtle texture. This looks to be a mode switch for Switch. I don't know. I got S, D, and S/X. S and X almost suggests that it would be for Xbox, but I don't think this supports Xbox. 2.4 gigahertz. Anyway, I'm sure the user manual explains it all. And of course, we've got a sticker with a little bit of info. And that's it. That's the long and the short of it. So let's just pop off one of these switches, or buttons, I should say, so we can see how that works. Let's take off the A. Oh, so easy. You can see it's just a little metal thing, magnetic. It's got a little notch, a little key there. It's keyed so that it always goes in the right way. We can swap the A and the B, and they just pop into place like so. Now I'm wondering if that mode switch on the back has anything to do with this configuration, or if this has to be done in software, or maybe that's what's happening here. I don't know. But I think this is more to do with the wireless or wired connectivity mode. We shall see. Anyway, feels nice. It feels good in hand. The buttons feel excellent. I'm looking forward to trying it out. So I'm going to go use this extensively. And then I'll let you know what I think about it. All right, so we've had a chance to take an up-close and thorough look at 8BitDo's Pro 3 controller. And then I have had the opportunity to use it extensively over the last month or two, quite a bit, pretty much daily, and form some opinions on it. Now, I've been using this primarily on my PC, and I should be clear that although I am primarily a PC gamer, I do play a lot of games with a controller. Usually the games I play with controllers are like third-person action, third-person adventure type games. So Assassin's Creed, I've been playing a lot of Genshin Impact on this thing. Any of those kinds of third-person, over-the-shoulder adventure or action games, RPGs, I tend to favor a controller. I don't tend to play a lot of first-person games with a controller. Usually I'm mouse and keyboard for those, but that's sort of how my usage tends to look, and I like this controller a lot. I'll just come out and say it right now. I've had a good experience using 8BitDo's Pro 3. It is not a perfect controller, but it is a very good controller. So why don't we take some time to run down some pros and some cons of the Pro 3. Let's start with the pros of the Pro 3, the positives, the things that I really like about this controller. There's no doubt that the star of the show with the Pro 3 is these TMR thumbsticks. They are really good, very smooth, very precise. They kind of surprised me in being even better than I expected, actually. I've used Hall effect thumbsticks on a couple of different controllers, and they're very nice. Again, you know, they're very smooth and precise. They have very good centering, but these TMR sticks are next level. And of course, not all Hall effect thumbsticks, or TMR thumbsticks for that matter, are made equal. These are very, very good thumbsticks. And I was especially impressed by the centering. The centering is so precise. There's zero wobble or jitter in the centering. You can basically have a true zero dead zone stick, if that's what you like, because they're so tight and so precise. And when I say tight, I don't mean in terms of their motion. I just mean in terms of the precision of their centering and the lack of jitter. They're also just very smooth to use. The response is nice and linear, and they feel fantastic. So the TMR thumbsticks are absolutely a flagship feature of the Pro 3. Also, another really fun feature, of course, is the swappable buttons and swappable sticks. You know, this is a your mileage may vary kind of thing. Maybe you don't care to do it, but it's especially useful if you, as I was, are swapping between PC and a Nintendo platform like the Switch 2. Having the ability to move the buttons around to reflect the different control layouts on each platform is really valuable. So I appreciated being able to do that, and it's super easy to do. You just use that little magnetic plunger thing, and it's very easy to do. The sticks are maybe a little bit more gimmicky, but they do pop off. You can just pull them right off, like so. And of course, this came with those little ball thumbsticks packed in. I can't say I've used those for any serious gaming, but if you wanted to, you could. And I don't know if they exist, but perhaps third-party sticks could be made for this controller. if you want to swap to something that, feels or looks a little different. For the sticks themselves, the actual part that your thumb touches, I thought they were fine. They're not my favorite ever, but they're fine. So having that ability to swap them is kind of nice, should you choose to do so. Another really awesome feature is the triggers. These triggers have a Hall effect, linear analog response in one mode, and then they have a very quick a very quick clicky response in the other mode, and it's very easy to swap between the two, as you can see. And for me, that's a must on modern controllers. I really like to be able to switch between these two modes. The analog mode is obviously fantastic for like racing games or anything where you need that linear response, that long throw. The clicky mode is fantastic for any game that just uses the triggers as buttons that need to be rapidly actuated. So this lets you get, really quick firing or activation of skills or whatever. And so really nice triggers. Whether the Hall effect nature really matters, I don't know. I can't say that they felt too much smoother or more accurate than any other triggers I've used, but they do feel good. So another shout out to the excellent D-pad. The D-pad is the Achilles heel of a number of controllers. Now, D-pad feel is pretty subjective, admittedly. Some people like the kind of mushier style, like Game Boy style D-pad that's got, a very soft action. This one is tactile and clicky, but I like that because it feels precise, gives you really good feedback. You're a lot less likely to have, misclicks, misactivations, and so I really like this D-pad. I think it nicely splits the difference between a softer style D-pad and a really clicky D-pad. I have controllers with both, and this one sits right in the middle in a way that feels pleasing, but also tactile and precise. So good job on the D-pad, 8BitDo. Connectivity is another strong point of this controller. Specifically, having both the Bluetooth and the 2.4 gigahertz option means that you can use the Bluetooth on devices that only support that mode, like iOS and Android devices, for example. But you can use that 2.4 gigahertz receiver on a PC, for example, for a higher performance connection. I believe the polling rate with the 2.4 gigahertz receiver is 250 hertz, which isn't class leading. There are controllers that do 1,000 hertz, but it's still pretty good for my purposes. It was totally fine. I didn't notice any latency or anything like that. So it's nice to have both the Bluetooth and the 2.4 gigahertz connections available to you. Speaking of connections, the dock is really good. The cradle, it's for charging, of course, but it also serves as storage for the extra buttons, extra face buttons, and that little button switcher device. It also holds the transmitter for the 2.4 gigahertz connection. And what I think is really nice is that when you take this off of the cradle, it automatically turns on and connects with your device. That's a really great feature that some of the other controllers I have don't have, and I wish they did. I've become kind of spoiled by it. So nice cradle, nice controller, dock that works quite well, and also visually integrates really nicely with the controller. And that brings me to my next point, which is that this controller looks awesome. I said earlier that the thumbsticks are probably the flagship feature. They are very good, but the other flagship feature is that this thing is stylish as heck. It's got this beautiful retro aesthetic. This one is, of course, the GameCube version. but there's a few different colorways that harken back to different classic consoles of the past. I think they just put out a brilliant orange one as well. But just in terms of visual design and style, as well as fit and finish, this thing looks fantastic. It feels fantastic. It's a premium product. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, looks amazing. And finally, for all of those awesome features, it's important to note that the price is quite reasonable. The MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested retail price, is $70 for this, which is about the same price as an Xbox wireless controller. It's a little cheaper than a DualSense. It's cheaper than, perhaps most importantly, a Switch 2 Pro controller. And so that positions it well. It is a good value proposition because it does bring more features to the table than some of those controllers. Does not reach parity with all of them necessarily, but for example, we have those TMR thumbsticks, we have those swappable face buttons, we have those Hall effect triggers, all that good stuff. And maybe this is just, personal preference, but I think it looks better than any of those. And so I think it's quite competitively priced, especially for the feature set. However, the Pro 3 is not perfect. It does have a couple of things that I want to bring up here that I wasn't super thrilled about. I'll be honest, no product is perfect. There's always something I can nitpick about. And the cons that we have over here are relatively minor as these things go. But the first one, which might be more significant for some, is the ergonomics are only okay. I did not find this the most comfortable controller ever to use. It's just fine in that, like, I've used it for long gaming sessions and I don't feel like I have to contort my hands in a way where they cramp or anything. But I will say it's not as comfortable as some other controllers that I'm used to. I would say that the Switch Pro controllers are a bit more comfortable. I would say Xbox style controllers are definitely more comfortable, in my opinion. And I admit there is some subjectivity to this. I just kind of tend to like the offset thumbstick style of like an Xbox style controller, rather than the inline thumbsticks like this. Although the Pro controller, the Switch Pro controller, does have the inline thumbsticks, and I do find that to be a bit more comfortable than this. There's just something about the way, I think it's like the angle of the grips is a little too tight. Like, I prefer a controller where they're a little bit more flared out, because I find, I'll see if I can show you, this is not the best angle for it, but I find I when I'm sitting naturally, I am sort of like, my wrists are angled more than I'd like them to be. I don't know, it's very hard to show you here. Maybe this is the better way to do it. I find that there's a little more of a kink in the wrist here than I would like. And so it took a bit of getting used to, and I did get used to it. And like I said, I do use it for long gaming sessions and it's fine, but it just wasn't as immediately comfortable and ergonomic as some other controllers I've used. I'll also say that the L4 and R4 buttons, these little ones right up here and there, I have not used them at all because they're just like a little uncomfortably far up on the shoulders for regular or even practical use. I really have to reach my hand up around there to actuate them. And maybe if you have bigger hands or longer fingers, it won't be such an issue. But for me, they're kind of pointless buttons because I just completely forget they're there. They're not comfortably within reach when I'm holding the controller in a normal way. So a couple of ergonomic quibbles Your mileage may vary depending on what style of controller you prefer and the size of your hands as well. So it's worth pointing out I do have smaller hands. So another minor nitpick I have, and this is maybe a little unfair, but these joysticks have no tension control. And this is a feature that is commonly seen on higher end controllers like the Xbox Elite Series 2 or the Vader Pro 4, things like that, where usually there's like a little ring or something around it, or underneath the stick there's something you can twist that will adjust the tensioning of the stick. I really love that feature because personally I prefer a slightly tighter stick rather than a very sort of loosey-goosey stick. These sticks by default are a bit loose for me. I think they are really nice nonetheless, but they are a little looser than I would prefer. And so it'd be really nice to have that tension control on this controller, since it is kind of aiming to be a flagship controller with all these nice features. So it's kind of a little unfair to like mark it down for something that it doesn't have rather than something it does have that it doesn't do well. But anyway, me personally, I would really like to see that on here. It would kind of help it be that all things for everybody type controller that I would like it to be. And then the final con that I'm going to bring up here is pretty objectively a con. That is the software. It's janky. The software is janky. This is their 8BitDo Ultimate 2 software. It looks fine. The interface is okay, but functionally it's pretty rough around the edges, and it lacks some of the features that I would like to see. Just one example of how it's a little weird is you can configure this controller when it's connected wirelessly. You can adjust the profiles, and you can load up, swap between profiles and change the mapping and all that stuff. But it wasn't very reliable. It kept disconnecting and having issues. So I plugged it in, and that was better. But to update the firmware on it, you also need to have the controller plugged in. So that's fine. I plugged it in. I updated the firmware. That was all right. But then the USB dongle, the 2.4 gigahertz receiver, also has firmware on it, which I could not update when the cradle, the dock was plugged in, which contains that little receiver, because I needed to have this plugged in as well. So in order to update the firmware on the USB receiver, I had to have this physically plugged into my PC as well as the receiver physically plugged in, which was just kind of weird and not very intuitive. Also, some features that are lacking include there's no way to control the response curve on these sticks. Like maybe you don't want a linear response. That's not something you can configure. Same with the triggers. You can't control the response on the triggers. It's just linear. You're kind of stuck with it. And just overall, the software just seemed a little buggy, not super reliable. I had to restart it a few times. One time after I closed it, it didn't shut down correctly, and so when I tried to reopen it, it would pop up an error, which presumably said the software is still running, but I couldn't read it because it was in Chinese, despite the fact that I had the software set to English. So there's some localization issues here and there. Overall, it's fine. The software does what you need it to do for the most part, but it's a bit rough around the edges. It is undeniably janky. So those are the cons. There's a couple other small things that I thought I would mention, which I don't think really fall in pros or cons, but they might be important to you. One is that it uses an integrated battery. As you can see, you cannot remove the battery. It's not user replaceable. This is the case for a lot of controllers these days. In fact, I think the controllers that just use standard AA's are in the minority these days. And certainly having the integrated battery makes it easy to use that cradle and whatnot. So I can understand why they chose to go that route. It doesn't bother me too much, but some people really do like to be able to swap batteries on the fly or replace them should they start to go bad. So integrated battery, not user replaceable, just bear that in mind. And then finally, from a ASMR perspective, it's worth noting the buttons are pretty loud. And you notice it's not the downwards press that's loud, it's the rebound. It has a very distinct tick to it. Listen, down, very quiet, loud, down, quiet, loud. Personally, it doesn't bother me too much. It might bother you or might bother other people you live with if they are irritated by loud clicking sounds, I guess. It's louder than other controllers that I use by a little bit. It's not like outrageous, but it's noticeable. So I just thought that I would bring that up. It's not really a con for me, but it might be for some. So I guess that brings us to the final verdict, which I've already kind of spoiled for you because I did say I do like this controller quite a bit. You notice my list of cons was pretty long. There's a lot of good things to say about this controller. 8BitDo has made a really strong contender for a multi-system controller with a lot of excellent features. As I said, those thumbsticks are an absolute highlight. They are, I think I will say, the best thumbsticks I've ever used in terms of feel, in terms of precision. These thumbsticks are fantastic. Obviously, this thing looks fantastic and feels excellent in the hand, with the exception of those ergonomic quibbles I mentioned. But in terms of build quality and in terms of aesthetics, this thing is pretty hard to beat. And overall, it's just a really complete and well-considered package. It's nicely designed. It works really, really well. And I think if you are looking for a controller that will specifically work with a PC and in the Steam ecosystem, as well as work with your Switch and Switch 2, this is the one to get. It is excellent and it will do a fantastic job in all those scenarios. Obviously, if you need something that works with your PlayStation or your Xbox, this isn't your controller. But if you want something for PC and Switch, the Pro 3 from 8BitDo is a fantastic option. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of another review. If you are interested in picking up 8BitDo's Pro 3, you can find a link down below at the top of the video description. At the time of publication, the Pro 3 is on sale right now for $56 USD, which is a steal for this controller, I think. Regularly $70 USD, which I still think is a totally fair price for what you're getting here, for the quality, the versatility, design, and style, and performance. So feel free to check that out down below. Big thanks to 8BitDo for sending over the Pro 3 that we looked at here today. By the way, just a quick little aside, there were some folks in my last video where I looked at a keyboard from 8BitDo, folks in the comments saying, actually it's pronounced 8BitDo, like Nintendo. And while I agree that that does sound better, and it is how I used to pronounce it, at least in my head, before doing these reviews, the official pronunciation from the company is 8BitDo. You can look it up. There's a few places that corroborate it with reps from the company saying 8BitDo, or products. It's like a Bluetooth speaker from the company that when it starts up, it says 8BitDo. I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't like it either. I think 8BitDo sounds way better. But 8BitDo is the official pronunciation. And I'm trying to stay on brand. So 8BitDo it is. Anyway, a big thanks to 8BitDo for sending this over for us to look at here today. And of course, a big thanks to all of you for watching. I hope you found this video informative, but above all, I hope you found it relaxing. And I look very forward to having you back here next time for another episode of relaxing reviews. Bye for now, friends. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not give a big extra special thanks to this channel's amazing supporters. They support what I do here through Patreon and YouTube. If you're interested in joining them, you can find links down below in the video description to do so. There are 3 tiers on each platform. They're equivalent across both platforms, but one of those tiers gets their names read in a very special spoken thank you in every single one of these videos. And you, my friends, are about to hear our Fusro tier supporter names read by yours truly, starting with Jake Luffney, Drummer Britt, Ragnar Ragnarsson, and last but once again never least, Joe. Just Joe. What a humble name. But these other names are also all very good. And that goes for all of the amazing names you see here. Truly, I deeply appreciate the support that these people provide. It is very kind. It means a lot to me. So thank you so much to our supporters. A big extra special shout out today to our latest member over on YouTube. Please welcome Dooful Plays to our supporter community. Dooful has been a viewer and member of this community for a very long time, and it's very kind of them to join us on the YouTube memberships. So thanks, Dooful, and welcome. Once again, a big thank you to everybody that you see here, this channel's amazing supporters.